Hello, everybody. I want to tell you a story about happened to me several years ago. I was out visiting one of my shut-ins, and it was an elderly lady. She was in her upper 80s, but her mind was still sharp and razor sharp, and remembered everything. And arthritis and some other ailments had basically confined her to the house, and she didn't get out much. And she had been very, very active in the congregation and community and couldn't get any more, and she was depressed. And she kept saying to me, "Pastor, I can't do anything anymore. I can't do anything anymore." And I looked at her and I said, "Susie," that's not her name, but I said, "Susie, you're missing it." She gives me a funny look. She used to. And I'd say, "Of course there's something you can do. Something you can always do, and it's the most important thing." She says, "Okay, what?" I go, "Pray. You can pray." That's especially important today as we're looking at 10 weeks since this COVID stuff erupted and we at Concordia had to suspend our in-person worship. We've been back 3 weeks now with worship only, and so much is still up in the air and so much is still going on. And I've written and I've said is that we're all walking into the unknown right now and continue to walk into the unknown. But in this time, the book of Acts, I think, gives us instructions on what we can deal with. Especially these 10 days that were between the ascension, when Jesus ascended into heaven, and the 10 days when Pentecost came. Jesus told them to wait in Jerusalem until you receive the promised Holy Spirit. So they waited in Jerusalem for 10 days. The book of Acts tells us what they were doing for 10 days. And I'm going to read verse 14 from Acts chapter 1, verse 14. It says, "They all joined together constantly in prayer." They all joined together constantly in prayer. As they were waiting, as they were dealing with all the uncertainties, they were doing things, they were constantly together in prayer. Now we know what happens later is they pray for 10 days and Peter stands up, preaches for 10 minutes, and 3,000 people are saved. Yes, I think there's a connection to that. They prayed for 10 days and people were saved and the ministry and the church grew. But it gives us instructions on what we can be doing in these days, what God would have us to do in these days, and that is pray. Now more than ever, we need prayer. The nation needs prayer. The world needs prayer. We need prayer for our healthcare workers. We need prayer for those people who are sick and dealing with COVID. But we need prayer for our congregations. If you're a part of Concordia, we need your prayers. If you're another congregation, they need your prayers. So here's just a little bit of laundry list. I'm not going to go through all of them because there's too many, and you know things that you should pray for. And pray for those things. Those are important. But remember to pray for your pastor. Pray for your pastor and your church leaders. This is hard times for them. It is hard times because they don't know. There's no books for this. There's no lessons for this. None of us pastors took courses in our seminary studies on this. We're all doing the best we can, and sometimes we're doing good and sometimes we're not. And we ask for forgiveness from you and from God when we're not doing the best thing we can. But we need to pray for our communities. Pray for the community you live in. That it would grow, that the COVID wouldn't take over. More importantly, though, continue to pray for the ministry of your church, that the ministry would continue, that it would ministry and reaching people would go forward. Is that we've said the church is not a building, the church is not a steeple, the church is the people. Well, we're the church, we're the people of God, and we need to go out and we be church. We need to live that out, but we do that out also by praying. praying for our congregation, praying for the ministries of the congregation, and praying for yourself. Don't forget to pray for yourself. Pray and ask God to open your heart and open to see what can you do? What can you do right now? Because there's things that we can be doing. God sends us out into the world. There's a lot of things that still taking place, and the church of God is growing. But we need to remember it begins with prayer. So thank you for joining us. I'll see you on Facebook, and I'll see you in worship.